Welcome to 50 Plus in Montgomery County, a monthly program that is a voice for many, produced by the Commission on Aging, of which I am a community member. This show is insightful for people of all ages, and each episode takes a fresh look at important issues by spotlighting older adults in the community, representatives of services and programs, and activities of interest to older adults. My name is Katie Smith. On this month's show, we will talk about how Montgomery County is a community for a lifetime and a place for older adults to live safe, healthy, and vital lives. Joining me is Shawn Brennan. Shawn is the program manager for Age Friendly Montgomery. It's affiliated with the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, Aging and Disability Services. Hi, Shawn.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. What about yourself?
Doing great.
Shawn, tell us a little bit about your background and county service experience.
Well, I've been with Montgomery County since 2005, so I'm getting to be, one of the old veterans here in the county. I started off with Aging and Disability Services, focusing on health promotion for older adults. And that was, a really fun job. It included everything from helping people build bones, through volunteer-led groups, to looking at evidence-based ways to deal with chronic illness, to planning end of life care, to planning arts events. So that was a really fun start to working in Montgomery County and getting to work with a lot of different people around different departments. And then after about 8 years, I shifted to a new position that was focused on transportation and mobility, because in order to take advantage of a lot of the exciting things we have in Montgomery County, you need to be able to get there. And then a number of years in, I started staffing the Commission on Aging, which is just, as you know, fantastic group that sponsors this program, that advocates for older adults in the county for all kinds of different issues. And then just at the beginning of this year, I shifted to being the program manager for the Age Friendly Initiative, which allows me to work across departments and across sectors, helping Montgomery County be a community for a lifetime, as you mentioned, thinking about how the environment and the services can be inclusive and accessible to people of all ages.
Now, Shawn, I understand that there's a summit on aging coming up. Can you share more about it?
Yes, this is going to be the third Summit on Aging. The first was in 2008, the second in 2015, and this third is on October 26th of this year. It's going to be held at the Silver Spring Civic Building. It's going to have a hybrid component, but hopefully we'll have lots of people there in person, from the business community, from nonprofits, from government, elected officials, people who work in the field of aging, people who are older adults or care for older adults who live in the county. So it's an opportunity to come together, put brains together, come up with solutions for issues that we still are struggling with. Although we've made a lot of success and accomplishments, we still have to chip away at a number of things to make Montgomery County an aging friendly community.
Now, Shawn, I know you mentioned that this previously occurred in the past. So you mentioned 2008 and 2015. Tell us about the history of the Summit on Aging.
Well, it's something that started with former county executive Isaiah Leggett. Very early on in his administration, he really saw the importance of planning for the aging population. And so he formed something that was called the Senior Sub-Cabinet, where leaders of a number of departments in county government came together to start sharing ideas about what they could do to plan for the community into the future. And then in 2015, we decided to, as a county, connect with this worldwide initiative called Age Friendly Communities. And so that took us kind of to a new level and connected us to communities all around the world who were working on the same thing.
Now, can you describe what it means to have an age-friendly community?
Well, as I sort of alluded to, it's really about acknowledging that everyone has a right to be a part of the community throughout their lifetime, and that there may be some things that the community has to think very deliberately about as they're trying to be welcoming to older adults, whether it's things like allowing more time for people to cross the street, or signs to have larger fonts, or for there to be more support for training caregivers, or more programs for people as they get older and their needs change in terms of recreation or employment and lifelong learning. So communities really commit to looking across the sectors, whether it's from the police to the health and human services to the libraries, you name it, and being a community that's safe, that's comfortable, that's convenient, and really allows people to live their best life throughout their whole lifetime.
Yeah. You mentioned looking across the sectors. Keeping that theme in mind, what has changed since 2015 to make the community more age friendly?
Well, as I mentioned, transportation is one of the issues that I've been involved with quite a lot. And I'm thrilled that now people who are over 65 can use our ride-on system free of charge during all hours and most of the metro buses as well. That's one example, getting transportation to be more affordable. All of the buses are accessible. They kneel, so that means people who have difficulty with steps can get in easily, or if they're using a wheelchair or walker or scooter, they can access the buses. We've helped create programs that focus on people who call 911 frequently for one reason or another. They just find themselves in that situation where they have nowhere else to turn. We've created case management programs to help connect people to services that will help them so they're not turning to 911. We have expanded volunteer programs, supported what are called villages. And I think you have spoken to people about villages on the show before, but these are small grassroots organizations forming around the county. We have over 25 of them now, and the county government has put more funding in supporting the development of these villages so that people can help one another with everything from getting to the doctor's appointment to changing a light bulb to having a walking club or other fun leisure activity. So supporting that idea of residents helping one another, that's been another real area of growth since 2015.
Hmm. Now, you mentioned, more accessibility with transportation, be that kneeling buses. You talked about villages, walkable communities that are safe, which is a priority for all of us. Tell us some other things that help us maintain a community for a lifetime.
I think one of the things is having an attitude that it's something that we all share, that it's an intergenerational issue. Hopefully, all of us will live really long lives, and so it's on us to help take ownership in this idea of Montgomery County being a community for a lifetime, where it's a good place to be you, which is our new motto, and people helping one another, staying active and engaged. It's everybody's business. I think that's a theme I really hope we hit hard during the Summit on Aging that's coming up in October.
Speaking of the Summit on Aging, tell me, how can people register to attend and who can attend?
Well, it is an open public event. We are going to hit a limit of the number of people who can accommodate at the facility. So I hope people will register as soon as possible. They go to this county's senior site, which is montgomerycountymd.gov/senior. And right on that home page, that senior site, is a link to an Eventbrite site where people can register just themselves, one person per registration. That's going to help us communicate with everyone who participates, whether it's asking them what kind of sandwich they might like to have, or which breakout session they might like to attend, or asking them to complete a program evaluation after the event. We also hope to have a component where people can get on from home if they're not able to join the event in person, where they will be able to watch it, and we're hoping to share their ideas and provide input. So we've got a couple of months to work out on the details, but we think that that's going to be a really great way to maximize the number of people to contribute to our planning for the future. We really want Montgomery County to be thinking about people living up to 100 years and beyond. And to do that, we need all brains, contributing their ideas.
We definitely need some more centenarians. So the options are in person or virtual, and it's open to anyone who's interested in making our community better. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us, Shawn?
I just really appreciate the work of the Commission on Aging in putting this show together, and all parts of county government, including the Office of Public Information, who really gets the word out about the activities that are available in Montgomery County. We have so much, and it's really hard to get people's attention sometimes, so they realize there's a lot to take advantage of.
Yeah. How can we stay in contact with you, Shawn?
Well, my email, like most county staff, is my first name dot last name at montgomerycountymd.gov. So that's Shawn.Brennan at montgomerycountymd.gov. I am very open to people's ideas and happy to communicate through email or phone. Other ways we can figure that out, whatever works best for folks.
Well, Shawn, I've certainly enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for coming on and chatting with me and telling us how we can register for the Summit of Aging and get more involved in our community, make Montgomery County community for a lifetime.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Up next is Austin Heyman. Austin is the former senior fellow with the Montgomery County government. Welcome back to 50 Plus in Montgomery County. Joining me is Austin Heyman. Austin is the senior fellow for the Montgomery County government. Austin is also perhaps best known by the public as the moderator of two television programs on Montgomery County Cable, one being this show, formerly known as Seniors Today, and the Montgomery County Citizens Agenda. Austin is a visionary leader and has had a lasting impact through many of the programs and services that are offered in Montgomery County. Hi, Austin.
Hello, Katie. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are you today?
I'm good, good. And it's great to be back with the old show.
Absolutely. Well, in true fashion, let's jump right in. Austin, tell us about your background. You have a storied history in Montgomery County and a current presence that's still felt. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Well, I love the county. I've been a volunteer really for 50 years. I started when my sons were in school with the PTA and eventually became president of the county PTA. And County Executive Gilchrist asked me to chair the first Commission on Children and Youth, which was a joy to do. And it was actually at the end of that tour that a staff member showed us a paper on intergenerational programs and the benefits to all of us. And so that triggered an interest in me, and I founded an organization called Interages, which the county government and school system agreed to support. So Interages actually still exists as a part now of the Jewish Council for the Aging, and we've probably helped thousands of older people and children and youth. And then I was a member of the Commission on Aging for 7.5 years, and as you mentioned, more recently, a senior fellow for the county executive. But I'm now retired.
Well, that's great. Austin, you did leave a few things out, though. I should tell the audience members that you also initiated the Montgomery County Vital Living Initiative in 1999, as well as proposed the Senior Leadership Montgomery program that has been offered by Leadership Montgomery now since 2002. So you've done quite a number of things.
Well, the Vital Living Initiative was important because when I joined the commission, the focus was really on frail elderly and the budget for frail elderly, which of course is important, but older people have different needs and who are well and can contribute. And so that was the origin of what are we doing to meet the needs of those who are well? And that was the Vital Living Initiative.
Now, considering, all the things that you know and your expertise on older adult issues, tell us what the senior agenda is. Like, what was it, and then what does it need to be?
Well, we had a senior summit in 2009. And after that, the Commission on Aging decided to draft a senior agenda, which was then submitted to the county council and county executive for approval. And it was done in 2012. And that agenda actually is quite valid today in many ways. And it dealt with issues of transportation, housing, safety, engagement, all the major issues that older people deal with. And it was a broad statement, talked about ageism, but much, as I say, much of it is still valid today.
Now, what resources does the senior agenda provide, to make our county better, stronger, and more inclusive for everyone?
Well, it's a framework for providing the resources. The resources have to come by the county executive and county council adopting a budget, which is done every year. So that's where the resources come from, the budget of the county government. Nonprofits, of course, also make an important contribution.
Now, you mentioned it's a framework, and you mentioned that framework is supplied or boosted through the resources provided by, Montgomery County elected officials. Now, how does it help regionally diverse communities in Montgomery County? How does it help them to thrive? I'm thinking of folks who might be living in, Gaithersburg or further up, not just East County or Silver Spring, but all over.
Well, I think you've identified a real change since 2009 or 2012. In the last decade, we have a rapid growth of the older adult population in general, and it's growing even further. We have more older people than children in our schools, actually. But we also have had an enormous immigration to the county. So we have older people who are now speaking multiple languages with life experiences that are different, that have needs that are different. Some are the same, of course. So what has changed in the last decade is a need to recognize this diversity even more.
Now, you mentioned the large and growing population of older adults. Thinking about that, tell us about the Summit on Aging's relationship to the senior agenda. We just spoke with Shawn Brennan, and she told us it was coming up, excuse me, but can you talk a little bit about that relationship with the senior agenda?
Relationship between the senior agenda and
the Summit on Aging.
The summit itself is an opportunity, as I'm sure Shawn explained, to have the community come together and both learn about what's going on, but also to indicate what are the concerns that need to be addressed. So the summit can be the place for getting some of the information that was needed to revise this agenda. It's time for a new agenda, clearly after a decade. Even though much of it is valid, you already had mentioned one particular thing, the diversity, but there are many other things that have changed. The need to have more resources for aging in place, for example. Among the major issues that remain are affordability of living in Montgomery County. Therefore, some would argue that we need additional tax relief. We, of course, talked about affordable housing for a decade, and we need more affordable senior housing. That hasn't changed. Another major change in the decade is the technology issue. The commission had a fantastic forum last spring on technology and identified opportunities for using technologies and also the importance of really helping people use the technology. And for that, for example, intergenerational programs can be helpful for providing tutoring and support. So as I say, a lot has changed, and I think the summit is a place to get some of that information we need. There are other places to find out what it is on people's mind is the county has a, I think it's every 2 years, a resident survey. And one of the few things that was on the lower side was that people were not as inclined to retire in Montgomery County. And I've always asked myself, well, now I wonder what that's all about. And I think that there are 3 reasons. 1, people want to be with their family, which could be somewhere else. 2, people may like the weather, warmer or colder or whatever. But the 3rd reason is the one we can do something about, and that's affordability. We have found this past year that there is actually, for the first time, I think, an out-migration generally from the county. We have less population, not by much, but so the affordability has to be looked at, I think.
Hmm. That's a good point that you're making. Keeping that in mind, how important is it for county representatives to hear from local residents? You talked about transportation, affordable housing, and technology being the place we are now, where we need to make improvements. But, how important is it for county representatives to hear from us?
Well, it's critically important. There are opportunities for the community to speak. For example, the county executive every year has budget forums to talk about the new budget, and you can go to those meetings and indicate what you think is required. The council has town meetings, and probably the most important meeting every year is the county council's budget hearings. Every April, there are like 4 days, day and night meetings, and they have about 150 slots. And what is needed is for older people to sign up and speak their mind. I can assure you that we hear all the time from parents and teachers and young people and the college and the libraries at those hearings. But that's the chance that you have if you want to make a difference on particular budget issues.
How helpful is the village movement in all of this?
Well, the village movement is a marvelous story. We started, I think it was in 2007. I actually chaired the first meeting on that subject. We now have, I think it's 26, getting close to 30 villages, more than almost any place in the United States except California. And we are blessed with the fact that thanks to the advocacy of the commission, we have a full-time staff coordinator. And I can't speak more positively about it. They are a marvelous resource in their own communities for providing transportation, engagement. In my community, we have a technology expert. So in fact, the council just had a meeting with the villages and learned about, I think, a lot what they do. I think the villages might want to consider also, based on their own firsthand knowledge of what's needed in their community, of speaking up at these budget hearings that I mentioned.
Austin, are there any final thoughts that you have, or something else that you would like to share with us that would help us to be more informed and even contribute to the senior agenda?
Well, I think that as I said, the advocacy is the most important thing that the community can do. The Commission on Aging is a very strong advocate. I'm extremely proud of the work that I listen to. I know about. They meet with the county council members and with the county executive, and they're all volunteers, and you're one of them, actually, and so I think that we should be grateful for their work. There's one item, I guess, that I haven't talked a lot about. I think that it's time for a major change. I think that given the fact that we have more older people than kids in schools, given the fact that we have growing issues that we need to address, it may be time to set up a separate office on aging. And I think that would send a message to the community, and I think it's needed. Not to say that we have a marvelous county staff. I've worked with them for 30 years on aging issues. Some are no longer with us, but that's not the question. The staff is excellent, but I think that it's time for a change, and it's time to have that leadership elevated. That's That's my feeling. One other thing I have to say is since I was so involved with intergenerational, there are more opportunities now for that to happen. There are now 5 nonprofits in Montgomery County that do intergenerational programs. And why is that important? Well, for older people, it's an opportunity to reduce any social isolation that they may have. It's an opportunity to give back to the community. And of course, for young people, we work particularly with the ESOL population, the English speakers of other languages, and they benefit enormously from this work. But I think that there's so many things that can be done now. So I see a number of opportunities for stronger work. The commission is doing great stuff. The staff, I think, can be enhanced by this new office, and then building on the existing programs of intergenerational. That's a resource that can be expanded. I want to say that before we go, I want to say how grateful I am to the community for giving me the opportunity to do what I've done. And it's been a blessing to me to be able to do these things. And I just want to thank Montgomery County for the opportunities to do what I've been doing.
Well, Austin, we all owe you a heartfelt thank you. Again, so many of the programs and services that we have in this county were realized through you. And you continue to shape senior services and plans moving forward. So it's been a real treat, even for me, to be able to talk to a living legend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie.
Well, that concludes our program for today. As you can see, the voices of those 50 plus matter every day in every way. To learn more about services for seniors in Montgomery County, please visit the Montgomery County Seniors website by visiting montgomerycountymd.gov/senior or call the Senior Resource Line at 240-777-3000. And as always, thank you for watching 50 Plus in Montgomery County.